Charles Dickens, author of A Christmas Carol, had found himself in a financial bind by 1843. Having been a successful author and enjoying the benefits that came with it, Dickens experienced a string of books that flopped in sales in the early 1840s. His publishers were threatening to decrease his monthly salary by £50. This would have been devastating to Dickens, who was not only supporting a large and growing family, but also his father and mother, as well as supporting a lavish lifestyle that he enjoyed. Though for many reasons, Dickens had a deep affection and concern for the poor and the downtrodden. His desire to write A Christmas Carol was spurred as much by his financial straits and the need for a winning book as it was to bring awareness to the poor during that time in London's history. Having had a difficult upbringing himself, experiencing poverty and workhouses firsthand, Dickens used A Christmas Carol as a platform to make the general public aware of the British social attitudes towards poverty, particularly child poverty, and wished to use the novella as a means to put forward his arguments against it. Dickens began to write A Christmas Carol in October of 1843. With only a few short weeks to accomplish his goal, he was determined to not only write the story, but to have it published and in the stores for Christmas of that same year. Dickens based the character of Tiny Tim, the sickly young son of Bob Cratchit, whose illness was the primary reason for Ebenezer Scrooge changing his miserly ways. Dickens drew on the lives of two family members, a younger brother who suffered poor health and had been known as Tiny Fred, and a nephew of Dickens, Henry Burnett Jr., who was disabled. Dickens had seen his nephew while on a trip to Manchester, and noted some of the difficulties for his nephew. It is considered that the star of the book, Ebenezer Scrooge himself, described in the story as a squeezing, wrenching, grasping, scraping, clutching, covetous old sinner, may have been influenced by Dickens' conflicting feelings for his father, whom he both loved and demonized. Scrooge also could be based on two misers, the eccentric John Elwes, MP, or Jeremy Wood, the owner of the Gloucester Old Bank, also known as the Gloucester Miser. Amazingly, Dickens reached his goal, and A Christmas Carol was released on December 19th. First edition, 6,000 copies, sold out by Christmas Eve of that year, with two more editions being printed over the course of the last week of 1843. By the end of the following year, 1844, 13 editions in total had been released. A Christmas Carol has never been out of print, and has been translated into several languages. The story has been adapted many times for film, stage, opera, and other media. In 1979, an adaptation of Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol was filmed in Canada and called An American Christmas Carol. Set during the Great Depression and starring Henry Winkler as elderly Ben Slade, the image of a modern-day Ebenezer Scrooge. The well-loved Muppets, created by Jim Henson, created a version of A Christmas Carol in the early 1990s that is enjoyed by children of all ages. One of the most popular renditions of A Christmas Carol was done in 1984, starring George C. Scott, and was filmed in Shrewsbury, Shropshire, in the English Midlands. Being released to American audiences as a made-for-TV movie by CBS, the same movie was released theatrically in Great Britain.